Hello, I'm John Thorne from Thorny Motorsport, and this is another one of our fairly hurriedly put together little short videos that we thought we'd do to help the McLaren and potential McLaren owner. Right, we've been really busy, that's why no videos for a while. You can also see we've done some more work on our car park and put some canopies in, which I'll do a separate video for. But I thought it was quite fun, end of the day on a Friday, everyone's gone home. I thought I'd show an example of all the different sports series, all in a row, all the models, quick comparison, and then which one I pick. Now, I'm doing this primarily because there's a lot of people who are looking to buy McLarens, and we do sell a lot of McLarens now, more than I thought we'd ever would do. I think we've sold nearly 70 now, which we do on sale or return for owners. Our main business is still looking after and servicing them, but it's been quite fun talking to people and getting them into their cars. And the most common thing I get from people is saying, I've got X amount of money, what McLaren shall I buy? So I'm going to do a series of videos. We're doing sports series now because we happen to have them all here, and they were broadly lined up. Granted, we've made a bit of faffing around, and it's the only time I can do it is in the day when there's no one here, no ratchet guns going, no phones going. So what I have here in front of me is a 540C, a 570S, a 570 GT, a 600 LT, and technically it's a 620R, but it's a 620R on steroids. It's our own car, which is essentially a 620R with a low more power, low more work, and it's a comparison to look at. They look broadly similar, and ours is GT4, theirs is a version of it. So, going through all of them, you're coming down here, you want to spend some money, which sports series would you go for? Okay, starting with the 540C, okay? This was built primarily for the Asian market, okay? So it's a lower power car by a tiny, tiny amount, and in all honesty, it's pretty rare, which is why it holds money quite well. So this is quite useful to look at because they are a cost-effective way into the market, and all intents and purposes, compared to the 570 next to it, they feel the same. Okay, they're the same car, same speed, same real-world purposes. Comparison, slightly softer springs, you wouldn't notice, slightly less power, you wouldn't notice. All the changes are primarily visual, and I'm not going to do a comparison video. There are hundreds out there on YouTube and all the other special people, okay? But it's a good car to have if you can find them. They're quite rare to get, okay? 570S, okay? The most popular in terms of built cars that McLaren do. So there are more of these than anything else, okay? This one's quite a special quartz colour from the Isle of Man, which is for sale. Probably that we see more of these in different configurations than any other model. In fact, looking around here, I've got 54 here now, 25 are sports series. There you go, it's half the market. Pick on quality, pick on condition, but in terms of different specifications, take your pick. There are different versions, different times of different colours and wheels, all kinds of bits behind it. Worth a look, probably the pick of the bunch generally, but it does depend on a few things. Comes on ceramics, which the 540C comes on steels, depending on your view, good or bad. Visually, deeper air dams, deeper sides, slightly more power. Okay, wonderful cars. Now, 570 GT. Now this is probably, again, the pick of the bunch. Slightly softer suspension by a tiny, tiny amount of springs, but it has all the extra storage space in the back from the fastback you've got. So it's a genuine coupe, really, compared to the 570. Got a sweet spot for these. The glass roof is lovely. It runs on steels, which means it's cheap to run. Slightly softer. You wouldn't notice on the road, but my personal preference is get one of these and put 570 springs on it. Okay, then you get the best of both worlds. Downside to these things is the fact that some of the work you've got to do, like spark plugs and thermostats, are at the top of the engine. Only way of doing it is engine out. Okay, whereas a 570 you can get from the top. Obviously on a GT you can't. Lovely in terms of interiors, glass roof, very roomy, quite heavy. So those are your three picks and main ones. And you're looking at, you know, in UK terms, money-wise, 80 odd grand, 90 odd grand, 80, 90 grand. So you're in the same sort of numbers. Now we move on to 600 LT. Now this is a different kettle of fish entirely, both in terms of money and in terms of car, okay? It is much stiffer, okay? It is much noisier. It is much more raw. It rattles. It's not as well held together in terms of quality because all the sandwich station has been taken out. But visually it's better in terms of looks of it. The aerodynamics are better. It is rawer to drive. Is it faster? Yes. Is it significantly so? Not really. Again, it's probably between a 540C and a 570. An increment, but not massive. But they are far more raw, and they're certainly better on track in terms of stiff suspension worth going. So they're worth a look. Completely different in terms of exhaust and wings, all kinds of bits, but you're jumping up on money. Minimum 125 grand, so 30, 40 grand more than the other sports series you've got. Okay? Finally, you go on to the last one, which is technically a 620R. Now the 620R was the most overpriced McLaren ever built. All right, 250 grand they were new, By far the best track car they did, but that's hideous amount of money for a car, for a Sports Series car, when you can get 720s and even 675s for that kind of money, which is a much better track car again. This is our car, which is significantly more than the 620R, full carbon bodywork, 750 horsepower, all the toys in there, and you can do this to a Sports Series rather than the 620R. But as a comparison, it's completely different. 620R is 250, you're still looking about 175, 180 grand in UK money right now to get them, so it's quite a big spread. If it was my money, what I was doing for me personally, I would probably be going between a 570 GT and a 570S. Again, the 570S, more of them, but they're on carbon ceramics, they've all got lift, they've got some nice specifications and some crazy colours. The GT has got more storage space in the back. The downside of extra work on the back in terms of spark plugs is an issue, but not a great one. Only minor work to get done. They're rarer, less around the place, and I think they just look, in terms of smoother, in terms of look and feel of them all. Only reason we didn't buy a GT for our conversion car is you can't fit a GT4 wing to them, nowhere to put it. Okay, so probably if I had the ultimate money, I'd have a 570 GT and I'd put 570S springs on it to give it a slightly stiffer handling, but I'd probably go for that one side. But if I had budget limited, 540C. It's not the cheap man's McLaren. It's no different to 570 in some regards. Looks a bit different. And if I wanted a car to go on primarily track and do a bit of high days, holidays, and I had the extra money, I'd have a 600 LT. Okay, but if I wanted a track car, I'd push my money out and get 675. But that's a different video. All right, so there's all your Sports Series. 540, 570, 570 GT, 600 LT, 620R. Okay, I wasn't add the GT into this, but it's 4-litre engine. It's not exactly the same as a Sports Series. So I thought, you know what, has its own video. But I thought it might be fun, bit of a Sports Series comparison. All right, cheers.